Welcome back to the Octopus Prime channel. So in the last video, I showed you how to download and install Manjaro Linux onto a virtual machine on your computer, and also highlighted some of the steps of how to do it on an actual real machine. Today, I want to go a step further and give you the tour for non-technical people and show you that there's nothing to be afraid of. You don't need to do anything in the terminal if you don't want to. It's all graphical and actually is a beautiful desktop system. So I'm going to go ahead and share my desktop here. And I'm going to go ahead and open that Manjaro VM that we created last time. If you missed that one, you can go back into the series and watch that first one to get up to speed. If you just want to see how it works, then stick with me and we'll see how this works. So it'll take a moment to boot up. Notice how it automatically resized to fit my screen. Depending on how fast your computer is, will depend how quickly it boots up. Okay, and we have the login screen. So last time I set up during the installation, I set up my own user here. I'm just going to log in with the password that I set up for that, and we'll come into the desktop. So one of the first things I like to do is install updates. So it's something common that you do. It actually works very similar to the way it works on Windows. You get a little notification icon on the bottom here, a little red icon. And I'm actually going to move myself out of the way a little bit there. If you click that little icon, it'll open the update installer. There's an update tab at the top here, and it's showing me that these are the things that we want to update. If you see at the bottom here, there's an apply. I'll click the apply. Asks for my password, and that's it. That's how complicated it is to install updates on Linux. Now, what we're going to do is increase the size of everything in here so that you're going to have a much easier time following along with me as I show you how this all works. So we'll just let this finish here, and it's finished. It says your system is up to date. We can close this. So everything is really small right now. Let's fix that. So I'm going to right click on the desktop and I'm going to choose display configuration. In here there's a global scale. So we can probably set this to 175 is what I'm doing here. You can set it to whatever you like, whatever your eyes can handle on your computer. But it'll apply a global sort of magnification for that. Some of it will be applied right away. Some might not be applied till we reboot. The next thing we're going to do is open the system settings. And so if we click the little start menu at the bottom here, and go to favorites, you can see system settings. You can see some of the fonts are already a little bit bigger. We can maximize this, but all of our buttons and everything are all still pretty small. So we may need to reboot until that magnification factor is applied to every last little thing. What we want to do here is go and change our font size to be a little bit bigger. So I can go to text and fonts, and I can choose to adjust all the fonts. Right now they're all 10 point. I'm having a little bit of trouble seeing that on my high def screen here. I can choose size, and maybe I'm gonna choose, maybe I'll choose 12, and you can set that to whatever you like, and you can click apply, and then we can close this. The next thing I'm going to do is right click on the taskbar here because it's really tiny. And I'm going to say show panel configuration, and you can move the panel wherever you like. This is that choice that I spoke about in the first video. So if you're not used to having choice, Linux is all about freedom and choice, and all about letting you choose how you want to experience your own computer and your desktop. So you can set the position wherever, but what I want to do here is I want to make my taskbar bigger. So maybe I'll set it to 80. Okay, and then I can click exit edit mode. Oh, you probably can't see that here. I'm probably in the way. I was changing the panel height here. I'll exit edit mode. And I'll put myself back into the corner where I belong. Okay, so what I'm going to do is, why don't we start adding some widgets or nice things. A lot of people love having a nice background. If I right click on the desktop, I can choose desktop and wallpaper, and I could maximize this, but I want to see the background as well. It comes with some nice ones you might have seen on my main desktop. This is one of the ones I have. So you can click on it and then it'll apply it temporarily until you click apply, and then it'll make it permanently. So it has some kind of neat ones here that you can choose from. But what you can do is click this Get New button at the top here. And you can choose from thousands of wallpapers, and you can sort them by all kinds of different things. So for example, I could look for beach, and it's going to give me beautiful beach wallpapers that I can choose from. To install them, you just click the install button, and then you can also apply it the same way that we applied the other one. Okay, so that's how you can change your background. So I'm going to click OK to apply this. Now before I go further, I'm just going to go ahead and reboot so that our text, our font sizes, and the magnification factor that we applied kind of takes effect on everything, so that you guys don't have a hard time seeing what I'm doing on the screen here. So I'm going to pause the video and I'm going to reboot. I can do that by clicking the Start menu and clicking Restart. And I can let it time out, or I can just click Restart Now. I'll pause the video while it does that. Okay, it rebooted here. Log in. There's my next desktop. Oh, you can see that it applied that magnification factor now, and our taskbar is huge. So we can correct that. We can right click on there, show panel configuration. I'm going to move myself out of the way here again. And maybe we'll reduce this down to like 64 or something like that, a little bit more reasonable. And then I can click Exit Edit Mode. And I'll put myself back in the corner here. So let's add some eye candy. I mean, that's the most important part here, isn't it? So I right click on the desktop and I say Enter Edit Mode. I should be able to add or manage widgets. So one of my favorite ones is the weather. So you can scroll through the whole list to see what's all there. But to add one, you just drag it off the widget panel there onto your screen. Okay. And then we can grab a couple of other ones that we want. So one that I like that you probably see on my regular desktop there is memory usage, and total CPU usage. Lets me keep track of what my computer's doing there. But just to show you how easy these are. So what I can do here is I can just click and drag these wherever I want while I'm in edit mode. Once you exit edit mode, they'll sort of be locked on the screen, so you won't be able to shift them around or whatever. I can make this bigger, and we can go configure it. So let's say we want weather for Winnipeg, so we just type our location. There's a bunch of options here. I'll choose the Environment Canada option. I can choose how it updates. I can choose the units, you know, whether I want metric units or imperial units. Okay, and I can click OK. Okay, and now we have weather. Now, I think we exited edit mode, which is okay. So to move these or configure them, if you just hold down the left mouse button on them, it activates them. And then you can move them into place wherever you like. And you can configure all this stuff as well. I'm not going to do that. And I'll move this one as well, and they're on a sort of a grid system, so you can line them up nice. Okay, so look at that. A few clicks and now you're looking like a techie. Alright, and to delete them, if you just long click on one, there's a little red X here. You can delete the widget from your desktop as well. Alright, so it's easy to add things here. Alright, so that's you know, we did installing updates, we put a new background on, we added some fancy widgets to our desktop. There's all kinds in there. You can browse through them to see what you want. Let's look at files. So in the task manager here, works just like Windows. You can pin things to this task manager here. Let's open the file manager. This one's called Dolphin. Instead of Explorer, it's called Dolphin. And it opens. I can maximize this. And guess what? You have all the same kind of things that you would expect on a Windows computer. You have a home, you have desktop, documents, downloads, music, pictures, videos, trash, etc. Okay, you can have network drives. If I plugged in a USB stick into here, it would show up right there. No terminal stuff. Okay. I can change the look. I can make it compact or details, or just icons. I can show previews if there's pictures. I can show previews. I can show hidden files. All the stuff that you would expect in Windows File Explorer. It's point for point, very similar. Now, if you are a more technical person, which is not what this video is for, but just to show you something neat that's different about this than Windows Explorer, is if I click the little hamburger menu up here, I can add panels. So if I click Show Panels, I can click Terminal. So if I'm a programmer or power user, guess what? I have a terminal built right into my file manager now that I can use for all my programming stuff or specialized commands. But we don't need that. So I'm going to just uncheck that, and it's gone. All right. You can also make the menu more usable here by clicking that hamburger menu again, clicking More, and then Show Menu Bar with all actions. And see, now you have this menu at the top here with tools and settings and all this kind of stuff. Okay, if you like. So this is where you would get at your documents and files and so forth. One of the neat things about Linux is it supports all the Windows file systems, even though Windows doesn't support all the Linux file systems. So that means if you were to dual boot this or stick in a Windows formatted USB stick or anything like that, Linux should recognize it out of the box without having to do anything. If it doesn't, if it's a weird format, it's a click away to install it, and away you go. So that means you can read all your Windows files from Linux, which is super convenient, and you can open them too if we have the right software installed. So that's file management. Super easy to make a new folder. Like if I want to go in my documents folder, I double click. I can right click on the screen and click create new folder, or a text file, or a document, or spreadsheet, etc., etc. Very user-friendly, very convenient, very similar to Windows. One of the things I'll do is, you notice our mouse cursor is really small here. I want to make that a little bit easier for you guys to see. So we're going to go into the system settings. To do that, we just click the start menu and go to favorites here and click system settings. If we go down to colors and themes and choose cursors, there's a size at the top here, and we can just choose a bigger size. So I'm going to choose 48 and click apply, and it's possible there might need to be a reboot for that to apply, or something. If we go to the global theme here, I like dark themes personally, so I can click dark, apply this to everything. We don't want to check that. If we apply it, it'll sort of put everything back to factory default. We just want the appearance to be dark theme. And look at that, everything is dark theme. Okay, so that's how we do that. It's very easy to switch themes. Now what else? Let's talk about the start menu for a minute here. So if I click the start menu, you'll notice all the different categories here. And it starts with favorites at the top. So you can add favorites to anything. So, for example, if I go down to Office here and click that, so here's all of my Office apps. Okay, Ocular is like Adobe Reader. So it opens PDF files and even image files and all kinds of stuff like that if you want, but mostly PDF files, and that's installed by default, and it's free. Everything that you see here is free. It's part of the system, part of the App Store is free. Everything in the App Stores for Manjaro is free. And let's say I do a lot of stuff with LibreOffice, so I'm going to add this to my favorites. So I'm going to right click on it, and I'm going to say add to favorites here. In the same place, I can also pin it to the task manager or add an icon to the desktop just by right clicking on it. So let me say add to favorites, and I'll also say pin to task manager. So you see it shows up right there. If I go back to favorites, there's LibreOffice. Okay, so I could launch it from there. We'll install a different one in a minute that will look more like Microsoft Office if you like that style. But if I click a writer document here, it's going to go ahead and open a document. And it looks a little bit different, but it's fully featured, has all the functionality that Microsoft Office would have, just different names and colors of buttons and stuff like that. To remove something or move it around, like let's say I want this before, you just click and drag it. Same down here. I can just click and drag these icons and arrange them in any way I like. Okay? For example, I might like system settings down there as well. I'm going to pin that to the task manager, but I want it right here next to the start menu, so I just drag it there. Okay? Graphics, there's a scanning software. LibreOffice Draw is like a layout program for making brochures and flyers and stuff like that. We have Firefox is the default browser. I personally use Vivaldi, which is a fantastic browser, but Firefox is on here. Chrome you can also get for here for Manjaro, and you can get Chromium, which is Chrome that's been defanged so that it's not spying on you with everything that you do. But you can have either or. So you can install all those different browsers on here, all the browsers that you're used to. Almost all browsers on the market, I believe, have a Linux equivalent that are likely in the App Store or repository, or are very simple to install. And I can get into that a little bit as well. For multimedia, we have a music player, and we have some utilities and stuff. So it comes with some basic stuff. Kubuntu would come with more apps installed, but you may not want all of those things. So Manjaro sort of gives you the bare minimum to be functional, and then requires you to install the rest. But it's really easy. So why don't we actually do that? So to install software, we can just click the Add Remove Software button here. Okay, or you can go to System, Add Remove Software. That's the other place that it is. Either one works. So let's click that. Let's see how hard it is to install software on Linux. So we can click Browse. Let's say you do a bunch of stuff with photos and so forth. GIMP is a fantastic Photoshop-like tool for image editing and photo editing. To install it, we just click the little down arrow. And so it'll queue that for installation once we click Apply. Pretty complicated, right? But Ernst, we didn't have to go on the command line and type a 5-mile long complicated hacker code to install software. How can it be this easy? I'm sorry that you've been misled. Inkscape is a vector graphics program. Everything that we look for here will be free. Okay? Won't cost you a penny. Linux is all about freedom, and open source software is all about freedom. So this is a fantastic vector graphics program. If you're an artist or a graphic designer, this is a fantastic program to have. I can just click the little button to install it. There's digital photo organizers. VLC is a video player that will play just about every video format that was ever created. It's the first and the last video player you'll ever need. It also has a Windows version. If I do have to run Windows, I usually choose open source apps that I am able to install on both Windows and Linux. So when I switch between the two, I'm always familiar with the apps because I'm using the exact same app, right? So we can look here for Chrome or Chromium. So this is the Chrome web browser that's included in the App Store here that has been defanged. It's actually the Chrome browser. They've just removed all of the Google stuff that spies on you. So I can install that. And then to apply all of these things, I can just click Apply. It'll ask me for my password. It's going to say, hey, there's some additional stuff I need to install to do all of these things. You know, generally it's fine to just let it use the defaults. So it's going to ask you these things for each package. Normally you don't actually get these, but for the graphics programs like Inkscape and GIMP, there's all kinds of crazy add-ons that you can have on there, and you can choose them right now to add them in while you're installing it. So once you've chosen like all these additional add-ons you want, I didn't choose any. It'll just summarize for you, okay, hey, this is what I'm going to do. So you can just click Apply. And there it goes. Now, let's talk about the Linux App Store for a minute. Like everything else in life, nobody agrees how to do anything. Microsoft does their own thing. They have all of their own formats, despite there being standard formats out there. And Linux is somewhat similar in that way, in that nobody can agree what package format to use to install apps. So there are all the apps you see in here, and there will be tens of thousands of them, will be open source Manjaro specific apps. Okay, and you'd find all these same apps in pretty much every Linux distribution out there. What we can do is enable some universal packages. So if I click the little hamburger menu and choose settings, we get this little window here. And if we go to the third party tab here, we can enable Flatpak support. So just check this box here and check the check for updates box. Okay, and that should turn that on. I should be able to close this. And now it may take a moment for it to do that, but what it's going to do in the background is sort of update the available software on Flatpak. So Flatpak is a universal Linux software format. So that means a Flatpak will work, if a software developer makes a Flatpak, it'll work on all the Linuxes. There's another one called Snap. So this is competing Linuxes. So in my previous video I talked about there was Red Hat and Ubuntu are two of the big ones out there, big corporations that do Linux support and design Linux distributions. Ubuntu designed Snap packages and Red Hat designed Flatpak packages, and they couldn't agree to meet in the middle, and so then we're left with both things. Now we might need to exit the package manager there, let it update in the background. If we go back in there, why don't we do a reboot here, since we've installed a bunch of things and changed our mouse cursor, which hasn't been applied yet here, and let the Flatpak stuff sort of sort itself out. So we'll click the start menu, click restart, restart now. So far you haven't seen any command line stuff, right? Like nice, beautiful icons, widgets, backgrounds, nice colors for everything. You can choose your color scheme and different styles for everything. Nothing scary so far, right? And you're really not going to find anything scary. There's going to be a few things that are slightly different than Windows, like installing software and packages a little bit different, and there's things that you'll encounter over time and learn. But there's no reason that somebody can't start out with this, and within a couple of days you'd probably be totally comfortable using the desktop environment and being very productive with it. Just like as if you were never a Mac person and you bought a Mac and now you have to learn how to use the Mac. You wouldn't just open the box and magically know how to use it, right? You have to put in a little bit of time to learn a new system. The benefit of this one, of course, is that you can run it on your old computers that will no longer run Windows 11. And then instead of throwing them in the garbage, you have a completely functional, really nice performing computer that the whole family can use for web browsing and so forth. So you can see that my mouse cursor, I rebooted there, my mouse cursor is now the size that I said. There's some visual changes when you apply them, like dark mode or light mode or cursors or magnification. There's a couple of things like that that require a reboot for it to apply, like system-wide. Most other things don't require a reboot to apply. So let's go see if we can access some of these Flatpak images here. Let's open our software manager. And we'll you can see in the list already here, it'll show underneath the software. For example, Firefox here is from the official repositories. GIMP that we install is from the official repositories. Discord is from Flatpak. Okay, so there's already Flatpak apps in here. All right. So let's see, I use Signal Messenger. I think Signal is actually in the repositories, so I can install Signal on here. It is also in the Flatpak repositories, so see here I have two apps that are the same. One is from the official repositories, one is from Flatpak. I would say to you, try to use the one from the official repositories first, because it's made for Manjaro, and if that one isn't behaving, uninstall it, and come back and install the one from Flatpak. Okay. And so I can apply that. So you can search for all kinds of things by category, like you could type video or paint or that kind of thing, and browse through the App Store here and install software. So there you go, that was installing software. Let me open a couple of things that I installed there earlier, just so you can take a look at what they look like. Okay, so this is all done here. I can close it. So if I go look now in my Start menu under Graphics, remember I installed GIMP and Inkscape. Let's just take a quick look at what those look like. You can also see I have Chromium in the bottom here. And if you're a Chrome user, you'll be right at home in that. Maybe a different color scheme or whatever, but it works exactly the same as Chrome because it is Chrome. Google actually open sources Chrome, like their Chrome engine, Chromium, and then they add all of their own proprietary stuff in after that. So you can use Chromium here if you don't want to be tracked. If you want to install the official Google Chrome, I believe there's a flat pack for that. I can cover additional software in another video because this one is now getting long again as well. So in GIMP here, it's going to have all your palettes and everything else, and they have fantastic tutorials. You can go on YouTube, you can go on their website and watch all their tutorials and stuff. And this is an open source tool. You won't have to pay hundreds or even thousands of dollars for this. It does a lot of things that Adobe does, and it's 100% free, so you can give that a try. The other one I just wanted to quickly show you for graphical people here was graphics was Inkscape. Okay, and we can do a quick setup here. It wants to know why we want to do this here. We want to click a new document. It might take a moment to load the first time. Okay, and so now you have, I know these icons are a little bit small here. You have a full featured vector drawing package with crazy capabilities if you want to learn that. And one of the last things I wanted to show you before I end this video is let's go install OnlyOffice. So if you're familiar with Microsoft Office, if you open the software manager here, make sure you're on the Browse tab, click the little magnifying glass, search for OnlyOffice, like one word, hit enter, and you can install the official repository one here. And when you install that, it looks point for point almost identical to Microsoft Office. So this is 100% free open source software. It's not going to cost you anything. It opens Microsoft Word and Excel files seamlessly. It saves them seamlessly. You can seamlessly interact with your colleagues at work or other people, your friends at home who are sending you documents and stuff. You'll never know that you're using anything different other than you didn't have to pay for it and you didn't have to steal it. Okay, so that's installed. So let's take a look at quickly what that looks like. So if I go to Office, there's my OnlyOffice. If I click that, okay, so I can open a document, a spreadsheet, presentation, etc. So let's open a document. Okay, and if you're used to the Microsoft ribbon, this is exactly how this works here, right? So everything is pretty much in the same place. You have the same sort of ribbon tabs and everything up here. It opens and saves Microsoft documents perfectly fine. And you'll be right at home in minutes in here. So that's only Office. So that is sort of a really basic tour for non-technical people of a Linux desktop. There's so much more I could tell you. If you leave some comments, I'm happy to answer them, and I'm also happy to include them in the next video and do some walkthroughs of different scenarios and different software and different things you might want to do. But I hope you enjoyed this. If you did, please like and subscribe, and stay tuned for more of these tutorials in the future, which will help you get productive on Linux and help you show you that it's a viable, fantastic option for you for older computers and laptops, and it is all about freedom and choice, and you don't have to throw out those old computers. You can still use them. Have a great day.